Hey everybody, this is Josh, and welcome to Game 1 in a Best of 3 series. This is going to be our first match for the pro portion of the tournament, or the pros versus Joes sort of competition here. We've got FXOqxc coming from the 1,024-man amateur, so to speak, bracket. It always is kind of difficult to call it an amateur bracket when you have players like QXC coming up through those ranks, but unfortunately, due to our random seeding, we do have FXO versus FXO today. QXC is going to be our purple Terran down in the bottom right corner, and his teammate, FXOmOoNan, formerly known as All About You, will be the red Terran way over here in the bottom left corner. So TVT, FXO versus FXO. First map is Shakuras Plateau. It's just the best of 3 series, and this is the ladder edition, so there's no destructible rocks there inside the mains. I am AskJoshy on YouTube, and with me casting all day today is the wonderful JP McDaniel from State of the Game and MLG. How are you doing today, JP?
Doing pretty good. My voice is a little bit deep right now. I'm sure it'll open up as the day progresses onward. Now let's talk about this match. QXC and mOoNan are both from the FXO team, and when you're playing your teammates, sometimes the game can kind of turn into a mind game, so to speak. These players obviously play each other quite a bit. I'm sure they practice with each other almost every day, if not every other day. So they know each other's builds for the most part. They probably talk about the matchup a lot. And because of all that, it's really going to turn into kind of a rock, paper, scissors game in some fashion. And right now it looks like mOoNan is going to be going for possibly a 1-Rax expand, as he doesn't have gas just yet. QXC doing your standard opener, though. He has thrown down that gas right at 13 supplies. So we'll have to see what mOoNan is going to do, but I will suspect it being a 15 command center, or excuse me, a 1-Rax command center.
Yeah, and that definitely looks likely. QXC instead going for a more bio-heavy sort of opener, even though it is just a single Rax at this point. You did get that first refinery up. Could follow that up with a quick factory into Starport, do that 1-1-1 build that's so common, or he could just spam Rax all over the place. He's really keeping his options open, but mOoNan with that quick command center, he is actually starting to build it now inside of his main. He's a little bit more limited here in the early game. He's basically only going to be able to make 1 Marine at a time until he can add on a few more racks and get that natural ramp bunkered up and ready to go.
Yep. So QXC does have some Marines coming. We see his first factory going down. Going to be adding on that second gas here very soon. Obviously, QXC probably is going to play your standard TVT. And when I say standard TVT, that is Tank Marine, and that's just kind of, well, Tank Marine Viking, so to speak. But it's just really become the go-to build, and it's very positional based. It's very strategic based in the sense that you have to know where to place your army at almost every moment in the game. Otherwise, it could be a real annoyance when you're just right out of range of your opponent's siege tanks and he's in range of yours, etc., vice versa. It gets very, very tedious, so to speak, but these players, obviously top-tier players, and they've played quite a bit of TVT, and can't wait to see how they're going to deal with it, because I know I have problems personally.
Yep, and that's just part of the map. You know, tank wars, positional battles, things like that, and QXC actually is going to get that first factory up with a couple of Hellions coming out already. He's got a reactor on his barracks, and one thing that I've seen him do a couple times on this map, we see a starport being built. Where is that little guy? Oh, off to the right side of his base, but he does like to do some drop techniques here, getting a fast medevac with Hellions and Marines. He'll just drop right into that main of mOoNan and bypass that whole bunkered ramp if he can actually get over there quick enough, and he is sending 1 Hellion in now. It's already about 30 HP from dying, but mOoNan might actually kill it before it even gets to the SCV line. It's not really going to be as effective as QXC would have hoped.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is that it got into the base of mOoNan. He knows exactly what's going on. He's controlling it quite well. Might be able to just escape. Well, never mind. He does have that bunker with 3 Marines in it, but at least he knows now that that command center is there at the natural. The Hellion does indeed die. Let's see how QXC is going to respond to that. He does have that drop ship preparing. And it looks like he's actually moving out with a couple of forces. 2 Hellions, 4 Marines, and about 5 Marines as well coming down the ramp just now.
Yep, and I'm going to need you to solo cast here just for a little bit. It looks like the game sounds have disappeared once again. I'm going to try and rectify that while we're still casting here.
All right, sounds good. Now, going back over to mOoNan's base, he does have some siege tanks coming out of that factory. He hasn't started siege tech just yet. He's pretty well saturated at his natural, but a Marine has scouted this attack from QXC. It looks like QXC is going to do the old elevator maneuver, and mOoNan is already in place, so this might be a familiar strategy that QXC has done before. So here comes the medevac. He does, in fact, see those Marines of mOoNan, so he's going to have to pull back. We have some Hellions here at the front with only one Marine in that bunker. QXC might just try to run these Hellions up. Oh, that supply depot does go down, but it doesn't completely wall off. And now the Hellions are in the mineral line of mOoNan. In the natural expansion, the Marines do chase off the Hellions though, and now they're kind of stuck here. In the back of mOoNan's base, we do have a drop from QXC, an 8 Marine drop to be exact, and that's going to get chased off here as well because all of the forces of mOoNan did just focus down that medevac, and now there's only a couple of Marines remaining for QXC. mOoNan just pulled all of his SCVs for some reason, but he sent them back to work right afterwards. And now QXC is just going to get his natural started as the command center is about done right now.
Alright, so we do have the sound issues fixed. We're getting a few lag spikes, and I apologize for that. That's really just a result of being on Skype and trying to keep everything 720p. My upload isn't the best in the world. I might try to do an adjustment here after Game 1 finishes, but for now we're just going to have to live with it. Nothing really I can do at this point. I can suggest that you lower the quality on Justin TV, but that's really all I can suggest right now. But in this game, QXC has already lost a lot of units. He's killed a lot of units. mOoNan is actually ahead in units lost just for efficiency's sake. Taking a look there, and QXC is actually ahead in harvesters now, so his Hellion and Marine little squeeze play that he did there, that two-prong attack, did actually work out for him pretty well. He's now ahead in harvesters. They're still pretty close on supply, and he's going to be able to get all of his production structures fully churning out all these units. He's even adding on 2 more Tech Lab barracks right now.
One of the interesting things to talk about here while we have a little bit of lull in the action is the winner of this will go on to play Idra in the round of 32. That is, of course, if Idra wins his first round match. He's not playing anyone known, though, so I would suspect that Idra will just roll over his opponent from the amateur portion of the bracket. So definitely going to be a great round of 32 game, regardless of who wins this. mOoNan versus Idra would be great, and so would QXC versus Idra.
And we've got a big drop actually in QXC's main mineral line right now is just an Octo drop, 8 Marines, but QXC just didn't have really a ton of fighting forces there to be able to defend against it. He's going to lose a lot of SCVs. It looks like he will clean everything up and might even snag that medevac, but mOoNan actually did get out of there in a hurry. The supply depots of QXC actually prohibiting him from getting over to that medevac to finish it off. So mOoNan doing some damage there. QXC is actually down on harvesters now. He was up by about 8 a moment ago, so this drop is actually helping equalize things for mOoNan. Viking pops out, finishes off the medevac, and mOoNan is done with that drop.
Yep, so let's go back over to mOoNan's natural. He does have quite a amount of siege tanks, and looks like he's going to be moving out, maybe just securing the middle of this map, or going to put a contain. Nope, he's going to move back now. Might have just been a misclick. Alright, he's dancing the tanks. That's exactly what he's doing. QXC in the meantime is just building up a huge tank Marine force right at his natural. He does have a Viking on patrol. He is throwing down a sensor tower, I believe. It's great to put those in the back of your base so you can see any oncoming drops, as well as a missile turret to hit those drop ships when they do indeed decide to come into your base. A ton of racks being added for QXC, as well as a second factory. I would suspect a third should be coming here in just a couple of minutes, as mOoNan has already thrown down his third command center and his main.
Yeah, both players actually in pretty good control of their spending right now too. QXC actually getting a little bit high. Makes me wonder if he is going to actually tack on that command center now. He's got over 400 minerals floating. But we do have an engagement in the middle of the map. Tank sieging up a little too slow for mOoNan. QXC might be able to actually finish this off if he gets those Marines in there to hug the tanks. I think he'd be a little better off. He's actually taking a few more losses than he needed to, but he does clean that up pretty handily. And now he's actually got a pretty significant supply lead, about 23 or so supply lead, and he is just going to continue with this attack, it looks like, into mOoNan's natural, or just siege up and contain him, preventing him from taking that third base. QXC does not have a command center still in his production tab there, so I'm not sure if and when he's going to be able to do that.
Yeah, QXC could actually do a ton of damage here, and that's exactly what he intends to do, sieging up right on the edge of that natural. There's only one tank for mOoNan. A ton of SCVs are actually being pulled to spam repair onto that siege tank, and it looks like mOoNan is going to be able to take out the majority of those tanks. I think one or two will still exist, but those tanks are just outside of the tank of mOoNan. Some SCVs some Marines and a tank are loaded up. So they're going to try their best to take out those two siege tanks. But some Marines of QXC do, in fact, stem in, focusing down the tank of mOoNan. And looks like those two tanks were taken out, but there is still one more, so this attack will continue on.
Yeah, QXC just applying pressure. He is actually building his third command center finally. I hear some gunfire. Oh, he actually dropped inside the main of mOoNan as well, and has taken out that command center. This is actually starting to roll downhill very quickly. mOoNan is not going to be able to keep up with all this aggression at his natural, and if he loses that command center, it doesn't look like he will, but is having to pull a lot of SCVs to try and keep that thing alive. QXC still just going at it there at the natural. Now he's got a lot more Marines coming in, hugging the tank, killing it off, and mOoNan suddenly struggling to find enough fighting units to fight this off. QXC applying pressure on both sides right now, doing a very good job at it and getting his third base up during this entire encounter.
Yep, so we still have more and more units streaming across the map. QXC starting to take his third as well. mOoNan is still in control of this natural, but he has lost quite a few SCVs. If we go into the unit counting station, 63 SCVs for QXC, 40 for mOoNan, so definitely the economic advantage is in favor of QXC. And again, he's sieging up in this exact same position with more and more tanks, and there's really not an answer from mOoNan just yet, because he has been harassed and trying to expand, but every time he's tried, his command center is now coming back from what I suspect was trying to drop here at the smiley face base at the 6 o'clock position. But QXC is just shelling the hell out of mOoNan's natural right now. mOoNan is trying to push up here, getting siege tanks into position now in siege mode, but those three tanks did get a ton of shots off first, so mOoNan's attack is not going to succeed.
Yeah, QXC is doing just fine still over in mOoNan's... Oh, well, there's the GG. No need to continue with that. I was going to mention that drop over in QXC's base getting shut down, but that's the GG. mOoNan will lose that first game to FXOqxc, his friend and teammate and practice partner. So let's go into Game 2 now, see which map mOoNan picks and what he's going to try to do to topple his teammate and force a Game 3.